This upcoming winter season is going to be really interesting because right now, all around the globe, there are major weather pattern changes going on. And of course, we've talked about this before. All of these weather pattern changes are going to ultimately affect our weather here in the United States. Arctic blasts, blizzards, and even severe weather are all going to be on the table once again. But the interesting part this year is exactly where those things are going to happen. You see, in this video, we're not looking at a simple forecast. This is the story of a battle. A massive tug of war between competing forces in our atmosphere. On one side, we've got a weak and faltering La Nina trying to take control down in the Pacific Ocean, and on the other side, there's a wild card sitting 60,000 feet above the North Pole, the polar vortex, and it's showing some signs of instability that could unleash some serious Arctic cold. The result? We're looking at a winter on a knife's edge. A winter that's going to create two very different Americas. Some of you are going to be dealing with relentless snow and bone-chilling cold. Others, we're going to be talking about a warm and dry winter, maybe even with some drought conditions. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly where that cold and snow is going to hit the hardest, so let's get right into it. Let's start off with the main player in our winter forecast, and that's what's happening right now in the Pacific Ocean. You've probably heard about El Nino and La Nina by now, but what we're dealing with this year is something different. It's weak, almost ghostly. NOAA issued a La Nina watch back on August 14th, which sounds official and scary, but here's the thing. Latest models only give it a 42% chance of actually developing. That means there's a 52% chance we stay neutral all winter. And not only that, but 6 out of the 8 international models are actually calling for neutral conditions. So we're really on the fence here. Now let me explain what this means for our weather. Think of a classic strong La Nina.
So does that mean like another winter that feels like it's summer?
Like dropping a giant boulder into a river. That boulder forces all the water, and in our case we're talking about the jet stream and storm track, to flow around it in a very predictable way. It pushes everything north, giving us cold and snowy winters up in the north and warm, dry conditions down south. It's reliable, it's consistent, and it's powerful.
So basically, the winter it's going to be like last year in the past couple years. Like up north it's going to get a little cool, but down here in the south it's going to be kind of warm down here, surprisingly. Why?
But this year, with ocean temperatures sitting just 0.3 degrees Celsius below average, that's barely crossing the threshold to even call it a La Nina. Our boulder is more like a pebble in this scenario, maybe a marble at best.
When you've got smoke-free satisfaction, you've got the freedom to do things your way.
The pattern is there, you can see it trying to form, but it's fragile, and it's easily disrupted. One good atmospheric wave could wash it away entirely, and that's why this winter is going to be so volatile. We don't have a strong driver keeping things locked in place. Now here's where things get really interesting. Despite all that uncertainty I just talked about, the weak La Nina, the fence-sitting models, when we look at
winter is coming.
just the long-range supercomputers, something remarkable happens. The American model, the European model, the Canadian model, they're all showing the same thing. And when all of these models agree like this, we have to pay attention. What they're showing is a winter of two halves. A great divide that's going to split our country right across the middle. And I mean that literally. Draw a line across the middle.
But if you do your research, that's how it used to be back in certain times, like especially in Africa, yo. Like that's crazy.
Of the United States. And for everyone in the southern tier, we're talking about California all the way down into the Carolinas. These models are showing a warmer and drier winter. This is something that you're used to. The models are showing temperature departures of 2 to 4 degrees above normal and precipitation that could be 20 to 40% below average. If you're in the southwest, this means that drought conditions are probably going to get worse. And if you're in the southeast, well, at least your heating bills may be a little bit lower. But for the northern tier, you better get ready. This is where things are actually going to be somewhat interesting this year. The models are pointing to a colder and wetter season. We're talking about enhanced storm tracks, more frequent Arctic intrusions, and yes, more snow. And here's the key part. Where these two different air masses collide, where that cold northern air meets the warm southern air, that's our battleground. That's where we're going to see our biggest storms, our heaviest snowfalls, and potentially some serious severe weather too. This transition area is essentially going to be ground zero for weather drama this winter. But
So
once
that's
again,
gonna
we're
be
doing
like a
some
long,
long-range
like,
forecasting here, so nothing's set in
Virginia
stone. I got to mention
going all
again,
the way
everything I just
across.
told you could be completely overridden by one major player. There's another player that's involved here that we haven't talked about yet. And to understand this wild card truly, we need to look way up into the stratosphere, about 60,000 feet above the North Pole. That's where the polar vortex lives. Now, I know everybody loves to talk about the polar vortex like it's some sort of scary monster. You probably heard the news screaming about it and trying to scare you. But let me tell you what the polar vortex actually is. Think of it as a massive spinning top made of frigid Arctic air. When that top is spinning fast and stable, all that cold air stays locked up in the North Pole, where it belongs. And we stay perfectly mild down here in the mid-latitude. Life is good. But here's the crucial detail that we're concerned about this winter. When you combine La Nina conditions with the current atmospheric setup, we get a 60 to 75%